Okay. So I like to start with a store that I know has store brands. Okay. Store brands are almost, it's 100% certainty that nobody has a wholesale account. Nobody like me or you, who are doing this arbitrage game on Amazon has a wholesale account with Target to buy Good and Gather, right? They don't offer that. And so, or with Walmart, let's say to buy Great Value, or with Kroger to buy Signature Select, or whatever the store is in your area, or actually depends on. In this case, we're probably going to focus on the big box stores because you're going to be looking for things that you can buy online and then have shipped to your prep center. Mm-hmm. And so I like to start with some of the bigger ones like Good and Gather or Great Value, or things like that in Walmart or Target. And this is really going to be what we put into the top of the funnel. I want to look for other people who are selling Good and Gather products on the platform. And I don't care necessarily what they're selling. I just want to know more broadly what types of things they're selling. And so I'm going to take their store ID, their seller ID, and I'm going to dump it in to keep it at the top of my funnel. But the goal here is to find 30 seller IDs, 40 seller IDs to dump into the funnel. Again, it's not personal. Sometimes I do look at the store, like the seller name, just because I wonder if I'll ever run into someone I went to high school or college with. But really, I don't care about who they are or specifically what they're selling. I'm more interested that they're doing the same type of business that I am, right? So it's like if I owned a kitchen store in the town where I live, and I was selling, cheese graters and pots and pans and all that sort of stuff, and a competitor opened up across town, I'm probably going to go scout his store or her store just to kind of see what they're selling that I may not be selling. And if their prices are lower than mine, what is their unique selling proposition, things like that. So I look at this as a kind of a competitive analysis, not direct competitor, but more on a broad scale, right? What are kitchen stores in general selling that I may not be selling? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm just going to try and find a Good and Gather product here that I can generally buy from. Favorite Day. That's the one I was trying to look for yesterday. So Favorite Day, do you guys have Targets?
Not anymore. They tried to come here, but it didn't work out.
Oh, that's too bad. Okay, well, this is a new brand that Target launched this year, just as a result of, Target made out pretty well through the whole COVID thing. And so they launched several new brands. This is one of them, and it's an upscale like snack line. And so I am going to find something, they call it gourmet. So let's see what we have that has a decent shelf life on it that I can probably find someone selling it on Amazon. Let's try that. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, here we go. So here's Favorite Day Monster Trail Mix. So I'm going to go to Amazon. And this is kind of the legwork portion of this that we need to work up. When we're done, I'm going to send you this video. And I'm going to send you the list that we actually produced as a part of this process. Here we go. Now, I use a couple of tools that you may not be familiar with, or that you might, I don't know. AZ Insight is kind of my tool of choice these days because it provides me so much information. And I think I didn't pick a very good one here because this is going to be a meltable item. And so let's see what we have. I'm looking for a listing that has a lot of different sellers on it. And so here's one that has 5 sellers on it. There's one that has 9. Oh, that's not a store brand. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this one. I think it's a good starting point, and it will help make the case. Oh, notice the brand is wrong on this. It says Archer Farms. And this is just because Target recently updated that stuff. It used to be called Archer Farms, I guess that Monster Mix did. All right, this thing moves pretty quickly, 510 sales a month, but it is meltable. So right now, only people doing it merchant fulfilled are able to send this in. Keep is pretty solid, right? For the last 3 months, the price range is consistent. Not that I'm really looking to resell this product, but that's just kind of my thought process when I'm looking at it. When you're in here, you can actually open up any one of these stores in a new tab. And so if you don't have this ASIN Zen tool, I'm going to show you how to grab the store ID. And what you do is just open that store. What I like to do is open it in a new tab. And then in the URL, in the address bar, you'll find some text that says seller equals. And seller equals A up to the ampersand. That 12 to 14 digit number there is the store ID. This person's having a rough go of it as of late. I'm getting a bunch of rough feedback. That's too bad. And then I'm just going to copy that guy into a notepad. And there's a specific format that we need, and you'll see that I did this earlier today, actually. The maximum store IDs we can input into Keep at one time is 50. So I'm just going to start over here, and we'll paste that guy in there. And the format, not to be too geeky, but it's basically like a CSV. So it's store ID, comma, store ID, comma, store ID. And so we found that first one. I'm going to take a shortcut. You would do that on down the list here if you didn't have this tool, which is this grab a list of Amazon sellers, just by right-clicking on that person, open a new tab, and then getting the seller ID out of the URL bar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that little tool is called ASIN Zen.
Yep.
Oh,
This is cool because watch, when I click on this, it's going to pop up all the sellers on this, and then all I have to do is highlight them and copy them, and I can just put them right into my notepad. And then I just need to format it.
Yeah.
And one of those was a duplicate, so I'll take that one out. Now, like I say, I like to get my list, my product list, up to 5,000 to 8,000 ASINs, and the way to do that is to get a pretty substantial amount of store IDs. And so in this case, I like to get around 20 as a starting point. And sometimes if that doesn't yield enough information, then I might go back and get some more. And so I'm just going to cruise down here and see if I can find any more items that are like this brand. Oh, I know, a good one. So Archer Farms is another Target store brand, and they make coffee. They got a bunch of new flavors. They look really tasty. Let me find a listing for that.
I can just already see, like, even just that tool there, using that ASIN Zen just to grab them quickly like that, just the time saver, because you could just go through each store and do it, but it's just so quick.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's like you'll hear people say, the only tool you really need for this business is Keepa, and you're exactly right, until your time is worth more than your money, right? And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna leverage a tool for this because it's gonna save me a ton of time.
Yeah.
Of course, I did that, and it's not showing me what I thought it was going to show me. I did type it in, right? Archer Farms coffee. Let's try that. Wow, normally I can't not see it. There would be 14 listings of Archer Farms coffee here, and now I can't find one. So just bear with me, we'll find something.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I understand. You're on the video and so it's bound to happen.
I know, right?
So I get it.
Let's just see if I have a brand selection here. No such luck. There we go. Vanilla bean brulee. That is the most interesting thing. Well, there was one up there. Again, all I'm really trying to find is a bunch of stores, and unfortunately, it's not bringing me back anything. All right, so let's go a different direction. Let's look for great value energy drink mix. This is a Walmart brand. I think these are 99 cents a piece in on the US side. Let's see here. Here we've got 7 people on this listing. Let's grab all those guys. Okay, and then we're going to go with this list just in the essence of time here. Okay, so you compile your list of stores, store ID, store ID, etc. Once I have all of that, I'm just going to put it onto my clipboard, and then we're going to go to Keep Up. And this is where it starts to get fun. So under data, they have what's called premium data access. And it used to be called product finder. There's product viewer, bestsellers, etc. So premium data access is full of knobs, buttons, switches, dials of all the different kind of things that you can look at on the back end. Just to give you an idea, the first section is sales rank and price types, which is huge. There's just a ton of options. Then we go to brand, title, brand, and more. So you can search by categories, subcategories, text fields, manufacturers, brands, all kinds of different options here. Offer counts, buy box person, or the buy box, whether it's Amazon, a third party, or a particular seller ID. Oh, and then the next section, this is where we are interested in, is restrict your results to listings with offers from the specific seller IDs. And the format they say is seller ID required, separate multiple seller IDs by comma. So this is what we want. I'm just going to paste that in that I had on my clipboard. And I want you to watch in the lower right down here, it says find products. When I tab out of this field, it's going to tell me how many products are available at all these stores that we just put on, that we just pasted in this box. In this case, it's bringing back 2,100. And this is why I generally like to have more than this small number of stores. But of course, because we're trying to be sensitive of time, I can't find exactly what I'm looking for. But this is fine. Well, 2,000 products is Still enough that I'm not going to sit down and go through 2,100 products. I would just quit if I had to go through 2,000 items to source, right? But what I can do in this case is now start to refine my results. And you'll come back to this video and watch it, but we're about 3/4 of the way down the page on all of our options here. I'm going to pick up in this very next section to where I'm going to start to refine this. And this next section is additional buy box switches, which is in the still refine your search even more section. And I am only interested in items that actually have a buy box, that qualify for a buy box. So you know what it means when a buy box is suppressed?
No.
So I don't know if, yeah, I can find you one here, stand by. So a lot of times what happens is Amazon will suppress the buy box when they think an item is not priced appropriately, when the listing is of poor quality, or when the only people selling it have really crummy seller metrics. And so when there is no buy box, I'm going to show you what it looks like. You see over here on the right, there's no, my option is to see all buying options. Whereas on this other page, my option was buy now.
Yes.
That, okay, so I'm not interested in listings that don't have a buy it now, because those typically, when that happens, the it tends to start driving the price down, and we end up in that race to the bottom, right? And I'll see if we can show you in this one. Well, it's not really true in this case, but there hasn't really been a buy box very often or for very long. So in any case, I'm not interested in that. We can afford to be very picky, okay? That's the bottom line. So that's what this is asking. The buy box unqualified. I'm not interested in listings that there's no buy box. So it reduced my results here by a couple of hundred. Okay. The next section is product type. I don't sell digital products, so I'm going to uncheck that. It usually doesn't change my results very much. In this case, didn't change it at all. This next one is very important to me as well. And this is the variation section. Are you familiar with variations? Okay. I don't like to determine whether I'm picking the item that is selling on a parent ASIN. Which child, I don't like to determine which child is actually selling. There are tools that make it easier. AZ Insight's got a great tool for that. But again, I can be very picky, and my time is important to me. So I'm not interested if it's a variation. So I'm only going to see products where there are no variations. That drops it down by about 500. This next section down here is sales rank drops. This on the US side is important to me. I do like to put a minimum of 5 in here. And I know that 5 typically is going to be more than 5 sales in a month. But when I do that, that cut that almost in half down to 848 products. The next section is, do I want to compete with Amazon? I mean, that's not what it says, but to me, that's what it means. Again, I'm only interested in items that Amazon is not selling. Okay, I don't like to compete with Amazon. So I uncheck all these boxes except for the one that says no Amazon offer exists. And depending on the kinds of stores that you have dropped into the top of the funnel, that may drop significantly. It only dropped by about 80 in this case. So I'm not that worried. That's fine. I'm down to 792. The next one I really didn't start using until recently is the fulfillment fee. The fulfillment fee. Amazon advertises what the fulfillment fee for an item is based on its dimensions and weight. I don't want to ship in like cases of green beans and things like that, right? It's too heavy, or cases of cake mix or whatever. And so I like to cap the pick and pack fee at $6. So I know that at most I'm getting to what they call large standard size. And when I do that, that number should change. It dropped by about 100.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the most important thing I haven't set yet is, and you can see there's more things as we go down towards the bottom. I'm not going to set anything else here. But is the price. This is where I can be, again, very picky. I've got 690 still in my list, and I've eliminated Amazon as a seller here. So now I know all that I have left are third-party FBA and third-party FBM. That's in this top section, which is the sales rank and price types. I'm going to select a minimum price here. So from $20, and I'm going to set that in both the FBM and the FBA fields, and watch what happens to my results. So when I put in 20 for FBM, it dropped to 129. I put in 20 for FBA, it dropped it to 94. So 94 is really not enough for me to give to my VA. I like to have between 300 and 400, which is why I like to start with more store IDs, because then I'll be whittling down from 8,000 as opposed to 2,000. But in this case, just to give you a larger list, I'm going to drop that to 17, and we'll see what happens here. Hopefully we get up. Now we get a little bit more, but at least we've set our minimum. Like, I'm not interested in selling a $6 item, right? The resale price needs to be 17 bucks. The maximum fulfillment fee needs to be less than 6. So that means that I've got potentially $11 to work with here in terms of my buy cost and potential profit. Normally I set this at a hard 20 and sometimes 25. So I can kind of raise above the low-hanging fruit, the lower barrier to entry, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I've got 138. Great, let's see what they are. I'm gonna hit find products. A couple of things to note on this results page here is that I have configured my columns to include only the things I'm interested in, which is just this many. By default, every single column is checked, and you will be scrolling to the right for a couple of days to get to the end of this. Okay, so when I send you the spreadsheet that we're going to export and create here, you'll see the columns, and you can come in here and uncheck all the boxes except for the ones that I have checked. Or if you're interested in other ones, you can check those as well. Okay. If you decided that you were getting some information here that was not to your liking, or you wanted to either expand your results or shrink your results, instead of hitting the back button, so don't hit the back button, hit the advanced filter. Because what happens is when you hit the back button, it forgets all of your settings and it's to start all over. If you hit the advanced filter button, it remembers everything, and then you can tweak it a little bit. Okay. The next thing is this rows button, and by default it's set to 100, and it does reset itself to 100 every new keep a session that you start. Now I had this open earlier today, and I had already set it to 500, which is why it's 500 right now. But if you have more than 100 results, like in this case we've got 138, we would want to set our rows to be able to fit all of our results. Because when we export this, it only exports the maximum amount that it's showing you on the rows. So if we had 300 items, but we were set to 100, it's only going to export the first 100. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is export. And this is where we export this to an Excel file. There's a little bit more slicing and dicing I'm going to show you that I like to perform here. Okay, so okay, I want to do a little bit more fine tuning in here, and so I need to open it up in editing mode. I like to set my top row to where it never moves, no matter how far down I scroll. What do you guys do for a living?
I'm in the military.
Okay.
And I'm a registered nurse.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know how often you get to use Excel.
little bit. I do a little bit.
Okay. So this section, this part where I'm freezing that top row makes it so I can just scroll and I still know exactly where I'm at. And then the other thing I like to do is turn on filters. And you can do the same thing in Google Sheets. So if that's the platform you're going to use, that's not a problem. I want to turn on the filter because I'm going to weed out some categories that I don't sell. And I'm going to show you what those are. And this list of categories will be longer, you know, the more stores you start out with. In this case, I don't sell books, so I'm going to unselect everything except for books. One that is also very popular is clothing, shoes, and jewelry, and I don't sell those. And so I would normally select that. And then also video games. I don't sell video games, but everything else in this list I do sell, or I sell in these categories anyway. And so I'm just going to select books. In this case, there was only one. I'm going to delete it because I don't even want my VA to spend any time looking at that because I don't sell in that category. Now I have my results. And this is where your VA goes to work. You say, okay, where do we find this particular item? Clorox 2 free and clear laundry detergent. So what I do is I spent about 30 minutes with my VA saying, you're going to get this list. And here's how I want you to look things up. So you go to Amazon, you paste into ASIN, and we're going to look it up. We're going to look at the picture, which is not always accurate, but most of the time it is. We're going to look at the title and just make sure that it is what we think it is. So here we have Clorox free and clear laundry stain remover. We'll drill into this. Okay, I'm going to select not the whole title, but just the part that I think is going to help me find what I'm looking for. And then all I do is paste this into Google. So just ignore that. And Google is usually going to tell me who sells this product. And that's how I know where to source it from. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't always work for things that are in a regional store. For instance, if you've ever been to South Texas, there's a regional store down there called HEB. And a lot of times if HEB sells it, it's not going to show up in these results right here. And you just kind of have to know where to look for it. In this case, it is showing us that it's sold at Walmart for $40. But I know at that price, that's a third-party seller. So I'm not really going to buy it from there. Here it is being sold on Amazon, the very listing that we have open. And so I'm going to just kind of scroll down and see if I can find it. Here we go. This may or may not be the right one. No, not the right one. All right, let's see what else we might have here. Oh, could be a Sam's Club item. I don't know. Of course, it's just our luck that the one I picked is going to be hard to find. It's usually not the case. So I did interview, or I spoke with my VA after she'd been doing this for about 3 weeks, and I said, how much time are you spending on this? And she's very meticulous about her time. And she said she spends about a minute per ASIN. And so like in this case, she's probably like, I'm out. It's taking too much time, right? So I'm going to pick a different one. Let's pick this. Yeah, we'll pick the old Roy. I think this might be I thought for a long time this is a Walmart brand. Now I'm not sure, but we'll take a look at this. Again, Google should tell me where to buy this. So I want to double check and make sure I'm looking at the right thing. So Munchie Bone. Okay. Oh, that's the same Amazon listing. Okay, I think that's it. The picture is not quite the same. They may have updated the packaging, but I believe this is the same product. Long-lasting Munchie Bone 20 ounce. We have here 20 ounce 2-pack. Yeah, I think it's just updated packaging. Okay. So at this point, I'm fairly certain I have the right item. This is $5.96. So I'm just gonna put in 596 times 2, and it'll tell me. In this case, I have some costs built into my calculator here. I have my prep fee, which you'll want to include in yours as well. I also include inbound shipping, depending on the size and weight of the item. It's not exact, but you put into the program what is your normal shipping rate on average. So we average about 35 cents a pound when we're sending in a shipment. So I have that calculated in here. And then I tell my VA, if it doesn't say 30% after all these fees, don't highlight it. If it's 30% or more, highlight it. Make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Now, one last thing here is this list. What I tell people when you're sourcing is, in order to get good at this, this is what I heard Sue Pruitt say one day. So I don't want to take credit for it, but I think it nailed it perfectly for me, which is, in this business, it's not about, finding the needle in the haystack, the item that's going to make you money. It's really getting good at seeing the things that don't make you money, so that you don't spend any time on, right? So that you're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to spend any time on this, like that one we were just looking up. I already spent too much time on it. I've got way more to get through. And if I wanted to come back and look at that at the end of my sourcing session and try and figure out where was it sourced from, I might. But right now I've got too many other things to worry about, too many opportunities sitting right in front of me. So we get good at, looking over the things that don't make us money. Because the reality is only about 10 to 15% of the items that we look at are going to be winners. And so even in this methodology that we just went through, we dumped a bunch of things into the top of the funnel. We set the bells and whistles on the back end for, the criteria that we're most interested in. We're still only going to be about 10 to 15% successful, and that's okay. In this case, it's still a great use of your time and money to have someone else do this, even your own time if you were going to do it, because at the end, I can't remember how many did we have on this one, 137. We're probably going to find 12 to 15 winners in this whole list. That's great. That's a good sourcing session. We might spend 90 minutes to 2 hours on it and feel pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but when I need a win, I need a pat on the back as I come do some sourcing for a while, because it makes me feel good that I can at least do this, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much it. The ideal, like I said, is to have between 300 and 400 that you would give to your VA. And then they would go through this process. So when they find a winner, let's say we did find this Voodoo barbecue rub was actually a winner. I have them just fill it in with green so that I know this one looks good. And so then when I get this back from them, I'm able to just filter by the green ones and say, okay, these are the ones I'm going to double check and make sure they look good. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
I hope it was useful. Oh, sorry, gosh, we went a little longer than I thought we would. I'm going to send you this file right here. as well as the recording. It does take the recording a little while to compile. So one last thing, what I do for my VA is all these sales rank and all that stuff, she doesn't care about that. So I typically will hide them. And then do this for yourself today. Fill in this column with cost and then source. And then when they are filling this in, they're going to put in the cost, like wherever that old Roy one was.
Yeah.
They're going to put in the cost, and then they're going to put in the source, and the source should be a link from the site so that you can just click right on it and go to see what they were seeing. And then you're both looking at the same thing. Okay. Just like that.
Perfect.
Now, this information is going to be business intelligence for you as you continue to build your list. And eventually, I can't remember, I saw when I got an email when I was notified as your reactive coach, but I can't remember. It's been a few months, 2 months, 3 months, maybe.
Yeah, maybe about a month and a half to 2 months. Yeah.
Okay. You've done 3 shipments. At the end of this year, you're going to have a lot of SKUs on your list, especially if you're going to outsource this. You're going to have a lot, and they're not all going to be good all the time, right? When we look at Keepa, sorry, I'm going to drone on for just another minute here because I think there's a good lesson. When we look at Keepa over the course of the life of a product, this one's not a great example because it doesn't have a lot of ups and downs in terms of price, but you will see that as sellers come on, the price will go down, and then the sellers go away and the price goes up on a lot of items, right? So it's somewhat cyclical. And so not everything is going to be good all the time. But it'll be very helpful for you in the future when you have a large list of things that you've sourced that you can, and this is another session I'll walk you through sometime. You can use Keepa to help you determine, is now a good time to buy this based on the information that I have? In other words, how much does it cost and where do I get it from? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully the fire hose wasn't too big there.
That's
So
perfect.
good, Brian. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you
that.
so
Yeah.
much.
It just exceeded our expectations, I think, for sure. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, if you come up with any questions when you're trying to put this into play, don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
great
Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
night.
Bye-bye.